join us on Saturday, June the 14th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A tough day for LA's major sports teams on Sunday. The only team to get a win was UCLA's baseball team. They beat UC Irvine 8-5 in the NCAA baseball tournament. UCLA advances to the Super Regional. They're only 2 wins away from the World Series in Omaha. UCLA's women's softball team was eliminated Sunday from the World Series in Oklahoma City. They lost to Tennessee 5-4 on a walk-off single in the 9th inning. UCLA finished an impressive season at 55-13. The LA Sparks lost at home to Phoenix 85-80, third straight loss for the Sparks in the WNBA. The Dodgers and Angels wrapped up the weekend with losses. The Yankees beat the Dodgers 7-3 to avoid a sweep. The Dodgers outscored the Yankees 29-14 in their 3-game series. The Angels fell 6 games below 500 after losing 4-2 at Cleveland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at Enel Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlader Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other black influencers in the climate and health fields as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me, back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today in our second hour.
Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization.
How many innocent Americans have these people hurt?
Fear is the best motivator.
When Mexico sends its people
invading, they're murdering, they're raping.
How many moms are grieving because of our sanctuary cities?
You don't have to talk about politics, you have to talk about how the brain of a human works.
Critical race theory is poison.
These people who hate white people?
There is now a white fear industrial complex.
Mexican criminals, Black Lives Matter terrorists,
radical Islamic terrorism,
where many people get very rich and very powerful by telling white America that they are under constant assault.
They want to steal your liberty, your freedom.
I want surveillance of certain mosques.
This is strategic racism.
We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob.
Tapping into white grievance and anxiety.
I mean, you're just overwhelmed by the lies.
Chaos in the streets, in the schools.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
If you put out information and you have force multipliers that just drive it, people will start to absorb it themselves.
This country is being invaded.
When you're scared, you fight back.
We want our country back!
White supremacist protests turned violent.
Panic in El Paso this morning.
Motivated by anti-immigrant hatred.
13 people were shot, 10 of them killed.
He specifically targeted black people.
We're under fire. We're under fire.
Andrew Goldberg and Eric Ward go inside their new documentary. It's called White with Fear. Do that again, Tavis. White with Fear, which exposes the decades-long war by the conservative political machine to amass power, exploit black people, and stoke narratives of white victimization. Again, the doc is called White with Fear, and we'll talk to the documentary filmmakers behind it, Andrew Goldberg and Eric Ward, in Hour 2 today. In our third Hour 2 conversations, up first, now more than ever, America relies on these call service workers to address customer complaints and, for that matter, to solve consumer problems. But trends in technology, capitalism, and, of course, corporate governance are narrowing the negotiating options for these mostly women workers. Author Debbie J. Goldman on her new text, Disconnected: Call Center Workers Fight for Good Jobs in the Digital Age. We'll do that at the top of Hour 3. On the B side of Hour 3.
Starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for. And we'll no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. Our country has the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by sometimes a factor of 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Even though the United States is home to only 4% of the world's population, pharmaceutical companies make more than 2/3 of their profits in America. But it's called Most Favored Nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price, that's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country.
A rare conversation today with the president and CEO of a major healthcare provider, especially after the very public murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, in broad daylight in New York City. There you heard President Donald Trump talking about his plan to reduce these drug prices. So we'll talk about that, of course, on the backside of Hour 3 when we're joined by the president and CEO of Providence, Eric G. Wexler. A lot to talk about with him. Got a lot of questions about healthcare in this country, and it's, again, rare that you get the CEO of one of these companies to actually sit down for a conversation and take some tough questions. So we'll put some tough questions to Eric Wexler of Providence today in the last half hour of this program. But in this first hour today, speaking of New York City, let's talk politics with the former Democratic governor of the Empire State, David Paterson. Let me start this way before I bring the governor on, my friend and my brother, David Paterson. So last week, actually some days ago, we celebrated the life and legacy of Charles Rangel. Charles Rangel, as you know, a longtime Democratic member of Congress out of Harlem. He was the last surviving member of the venerable group of Harlem elder statesmen known as the Gang of Four. The other three, David Dinkins, the city's first black mayor, Percy Sutton, the former Manhattan borough president and brilliant entrepreneur, and a guy named Basil Patterson, who was a state senator and secretary of state, and whose son, David Paterson, was later lieutenant governor and then the interim governor of New York from 2008 to 2010. So when we come forward to commence this conversation with the governor, I want to first play some audio of Charles Rangel, get his thoughts on the passing of this Lion of Harlem, Charles Rangel, and so much more to talk about. The mayor's race in New York City, the Democratic primaries a few weeks from now, and there's all kind of conversation about that particular race and a great deal more to cover with former governor of the Empire State, David Paterson, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
This is an ad by BetterHelp. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and my guy, it's time to talk. Men today face immense pressure to perform, to provide, to keep everything together. So it's no wonder that 6 million men in the U.S. suffer from depression every year. Men are also less likely to seek therapy than women, which means depression among men often goes underdiagnosed. If you're a man and you're feeling the weight of the world, the strongest thing you can do is ask for help. Talk to someone, anyone, a therapist, a friend, a loved one, because real strength comes from being honest about what you're carrying and doing something about it. Therapy can help you find your way, and BetterHelp makes it easy to start. Take a short online quiz and connect with a qualified therapist from the privacy of home. Every man deserves better. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABC Radio.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40, and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com. Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
All right, so the father of the former New York Governor David Paterson was Basil A. Paterson, again, a state senator, Secretary of State. He was one of the Gang of Four, the venerable Gang of Four, the Harlem Elders, Charles Rangel, David Dinkins, Percy Sutton, and Basil A. Paterson. We lost Charles Rangel days ago at the age of 94, as I recall. Before I get into the conversation with David Paterson, here's now some sound of Charles Rangel.
You know, this is the greatest country that anyone could possibly conceive. People from all over the world want to join with us. And with all of the complaints we have, no one wants to leave. But with all of that, we still have the stigma of slavery and racism in this country. Oh, I know in 200-300 years we made broad advancements. But just like a healthy person who finds out there's a cancer, unless you deal with it, it can consume the whole body as racism can consume our country. There are answers to this in order to get equity. And what we have to do is, one, first recognize that we're all in this country to make it better for all of us. And we can't do that effectively unless we solve it. One of the things we need, of course, is income, wages, a decent place to live. And the key that I've found that's most successful is education. And education opens the door to self-esteem, to avoiding getting into trouble, and avoiding poverty, and all of those things that are necessary to make this a better country than she is.
Governor David Paterson, always an honor, my friend, to be in conversation with you. How are you today?
I'm good, but I don't know who does the research there. I was not the interim governor of New York. I was the governor of New York.
Fair enough. Did I say interim?
Yeah, right before the commercial.
All right, we will scrap that word. He was not the interim, and if I said interim, that should not have been in the script. So we'll scrap that. So since you went there, let me follow you. You and I have been friends and brothers for many years, and so we can always be transparent. When people use that word interim, obviously it gets under your skin. Tell me why.
Well, because there are situations where someone will be called upon to serve out the term that someone else started, but in a position as high as governor or president of the United States or U.S. senator, the person who replaces them is there, and it's for them to keep going or retire or do whatever they want to do.
Right. Yeah. So I just looked at my producers right quick, and they pointed to me. They pointed me to the New York Times, and that's where they obviously lifted that paragraph from the New York Times about the Gang of Four.
Oh, that's not surprising.
Yeah. I just wanted you to know that I didn't make up that term. Sometimes, usually I'm on my own. Sometimes I read the scripts my producers give me, and so
no, and I didn't even say it was you.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. But I said it, so I got to own it, man. But the piece I have it in my hand, as a matter of fact, the piece that I was referencing about the Gang of Four. Of course, I know that, but I was just reading this short paragraph. So the New York Times refers to you as the interim governor of New York. So that's where you got that. That's where you got that from. So don't be mad at me. Be mad at the New York Times. I'll leave it alone.
No, I will be.
Yeah, I got it. First of all, it's been a long time. How are you? First of all,
I'm good. It's been a pretty good period of time for me, and just exploring different opportunities, and just in terms of with my family and other situations, it's been a pretty good period of time. We're thankful.
No, good. That's good to hear. Whenever I talk to a friend who I haven't talked to in a long time, publicly or privately, and they tell me that they're good and that they're thankful and they're grateful. That's as much as you can ask for these days. So I'm delighted to hear that. So I played that audio of Charles Rangel a moment ago. I want to get to that right away. So as I mentioned again, your father, Basil A. Patterson, one of that Gang of Four. Charles Rangel was the last one. Last surviving member of that gang. Just tell me, we got an hour here, man, so we got some time. Just tell me your recollections as a kid growing up, surrounded by that powerful Gang of Four. Again, Rangel and Sutton and Dinkins and your father. The power that they wielded as black men in the city of New York, the city of New York City, I should say, the state of New York. The power they wielded long before you ever got into politics. Again, they were doing their thing. Just give me some of your remembrances, your reflections of the four of them, and specifically Charles Rangel.
Well, my first recollections go back to, I would say, the assassination of President Kennedy. I was shocked by that, and I spent the whole weekend just watching the television to hear what was going to happen. And of course, President Johnson was inaugurated after getting off of a plane and that kind of thing. So I had an interest in what went on in politics. Earlier than most people, I was 9 or 10 years old. And it was clear to all of us that the Democratic Party in New York knew that there were so many black people that lived in Harlem that they had overcome just having a white state senator or a white city council member. And so what they did is they had people there who had power within the community, but didn't affect too much outside the community. I'm not saying they didn't work hard, but I'm just saying that was the truth. One of them was the county leader, J. Raymond Jones. Now, everybody feared him in the county.
Yeah.
But nobody in the Democratic Party or anywhere else worried about what he was going to do. And so I would say that the first difference maker was the Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, who went to Congress in 1944 and was there for 26 years. And he was a factor around the country. And then setting that tone to run against him you would really take your life in your hands by doing that. But that's what Congressman Charles Rangel, who was an assemblyman at the time, ran against the city congressman, and this was like heresy. This is the way people talked about this in Harlem. But the only problem is the voters lived in Harlem. They hadn't seen Congressman Powell in years. Congressman Powell was either in Washington, he had a home on an island called Bimini, and he was mistreated by his congressional colleagues.
No question.
But I think he was shocked and never expected to lose that primary in 1970. When Rangel won that primary, he won it because he was campaigning all over the place. And that's why he got the nickname the Lion of Lenox Avenue. Because if you went on Lenox Avenue, eventually you were going to run into him. So if you didn't want to run into him, you would go up, say, 7th Avenue or 5th Avenue, not Lenox Avenue, because that's where he hung out. And when he went to Congress in 1971, the president at that particular time was Richard M. Nixon. And the interesting thing about Rangel is that he fought for a lot of issues and was very successful later on, but he was very much an interesting person to get to know for both sides of the aisle in Congress in that period of time. So he moves along, and then, now the community is starting to work with the other Black communities. People like Al Vann, who was basically the leader in Brooklyn, and Archie Spigner from Queens, and some other Ivan Warner in the Bronx. They were the Black leaders, and they were coming together, and they're thinking, we should be able, with the population and the fact that the people in the community are voting more than they ever had, we should be thinking about running somebody for mayor. And they inevitably arrived on Percy Sutton, who inevitably became the head of inner city broadcasting. He ran for mayor in 1977, and there was some tenseness and some acrimony between Percy Sutton and Herman Badillo, who was a congressman from the Bronx, Puerto Rican, and they both agreed that their running at the same time was going to hurt them because the minority voters would tend to vote for those candidates. And that created a rift. And at one point, when Badillo was saying that he should have been the candidate, and he was blaming who caused him not to be, said it was a gang of four, starting with Percy Sutton, Basil Patterson, David Dinkins, and Charles Rangel. So the gang of four was not a term that was something that you would want to promote.
It was not a compliment when it first started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what's so funny is when people talk about it now, it's almost like it was some kind of social club and they were the leaders of it or something like that. They were in the heat of battle, and they were in the heat of battle with other people from their own borough and even the districts that they represented. So that's really where the Gang of Four came from. And Rangel himself was someone who could just articulate the problems of people in his district. He could articulate the problems of people outside his district. He just had a way of reading people and reading a room. And he was spellbinding when he spoke at times, particularly in the tape that you all played about him right in the beginning of the show.
Sure. How old were you, David? Governor Paterson, he's my friend. I still want to respect him, call him Governor Paterson. Governor Paterson, how old were you when Charlie Rangel defeated Adam Clayton Powell?
I was
roughly
16.
Yeah. What do you?
16. It was the congressional race in 1970.
Yeah.
On that same evening, my father, Basil Patterson, also shocked the world by winning a primary against a candidate from Suffolk County to become the Democratic standard bearer for lieutenant governor under Arthur Goldberg, who was the retired justice of the Supreme Court. And he really should have stayed there because he was a justice of the Supreme Court. He was in the Johnson administration, and the worst damn candidate you've ever seen in your life. This man could not communicate with audiences. And by the way, I borrowed that comment from the late David Dinkins, who used to talk about that particular year. And Goldberg was staggering into the race with then Governor Nelson Rockefeller, who shellacked
beat him,
the Goldberg-Paterson ticket in 1970.
So you're 16, and on this particular evening, all kind of history is being made around you. This is long before, of course, you get into politics and become lieutenant governor yourself, and then the governor of the state of New York. But at 16, like, just tell me right quick, how do you recall processing your father winning an historic election and your uncle, essentially, Charles Rangel, upending this icon named Adam Clayton Powell? How did you process all that history happening around you on the same night?
Well, because of my age at that particular time, I was a big fan of Congressman Adam Clayton Powell. I thought that he spoke truth to power and that he was a very dynamic person. So I wasn't old enough to vote at the time, but I felt kind of sorry for him after he lost, because after that, there was no place for him to go, and he passed away another 2 years after that.
Right.
So I had a kind of a human connection with him. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I realized that a new era was coming, and a lot of younger people were starting to talk about running against different people. And Congressman Rangel himself was put in that position where he'd been there, 10 or 20 years into the 80s and 90s, and people just decided he wasn't doing a good enough job and all this stuff. They were going to run against him. But he always had his presence in the district, his congressional office in the district. Mm-hmm. He did everything in the district, and nobody was going to beat him in that district.
Yeah. You mentioned Charles Rangel, that is, goes to Washington as congressman, defeating once again the icon, Adam Clayton Powell. Rangel goes to Congress when Richard Nixon's president, and he and the 3 or 4 other members, weren't very many at that time, they were pressing Nixon, the black members of Congress, that is, were pressing Nixon for a meeting. Nixon rebuffed them and refused to meet with them, and that is what essentially generated the beginning of the Congressional Black Caucus. I told this story last week on the program, and Charles Rangel passed, but he is one of the founders. He was one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus, and now that organization is 61 members strong, but at the time, just a couple of them, just a few of them. So Charles Rangel, again, made all kinds of history, but a part of his legacy was the creation of the Congressional Black Caucus. It has more members now than it has ever had since its founding, and so that's something I think worth celebrating. When we come forward, we'll continue our conversation with the former governor of New York, David Paterson. A great deal more to talk about. This mayor's race is getting really interesting. As you know, Eric Adams was a guest on this program not too long ago. He's been on here, somewhat regularly. Was on not long ago, and so he decided, since being on this program, he was not going to run as a Democrat. He's now running as an independent. So he'll still be around beyond this primary on June 21st, I believe. But the race is getting interesting. Andrew Cuomo is still out front, but the race is tightening. There are others in this race, and I'm curious to get David Paterson's thoughts about the race for mayor of New York City and a great deal more when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is celebrating Illinois' 7th straight balanced budget, a $55 billion plan with new taxes on tobacco, vaping, and sports betting.
Unlike the federal government, we are balancing our budget for the benefit of your families, while Trump spends wildly to benefit his family and their Doge Bro friends.
He says it helps working families more than Trump-era federal cuts. 11 people were stabbed Sunday night at the Union Gospel Mission in Salem, Oregon. Police say the victims were taken to Salem Health with various injuries. A male suspect is in custody, but no motive has been released. And Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial resumes today in New York. His lawyers continue cross-examining a former assistant under the alias Mia, who says Combs raped and abused her. A man by the name of Enrique Santos is expected to testify next. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
pan comido, or a piece of cake, no matter how you say it, you save at cheapoair.com/ES. The deals are fully translated in Spanish, so all you've got to do is scroll and save, with deals on up to 500 airlines worldwide. cheapoair.com/ES.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A tough day for LA's major sports teams on Sunday. The only team to get a win was UCLA's baseball team. They beat UC Irvine 8-5 in the NCAA baseball tournament. UCLA advances to the Super Regional. They're only 2 wins away from the World Series in Omaha. UCLA's women's softball team was eliminated Sunday from the World Series in Oklahoma City. They lost to Tennessee 5-4 on a walk-off single in the 9th inning. UCLA finished an impressive season at 55-13. The LA Sparks lost at home to Phoenix 85-80, third straight loss for the Sparks in the WNBA. The Dodgers and Angels wrapped up the weekend with losses. The Yankees beat the Dodgers 7-3 to avoid a sweep. The Dodgers outscored the Yankees 29-14 in their 3-game series. The Angels fell 6 games below 500 after losing 4-2 at Cleveland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you sick of drying, chlorinated water in your home? At LifeSource, they believe your health, your skin, and your hair deserve better. Enjoy delicious, clean water from every tap with a LifeSource water system. Call 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
1, 2. You ready? Somebody make some noise in this joint. KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast. Oh my God! But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on! On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, the former governor of New York, Governor David Paterson, and I was just talking to my producers during the commercial break. I'm mad too that the New York Times even used the phrase interim, and I'm mad at myself for reading that paragraph. I've never referred to David Paterson as interim governor, and just reading that copy real fast got me in trouble. He's right. We were talking about that during the break, that if Kamala Harris had become I was explaining to Miles, my board op, that if Kamala Harris had become, if Joe Biden had died in office and she had become president, we would never refer to her as the interim president. Same thing with Gerald Ford. Richard Nixon got impeached. Nobody called Gerald Ford the interim president. So the New York Times is wrong, just flat out wrong to be referring to him as interim governor. And I was wrong to read that copy so swiftly without catching it as I read it. So I apologize to David Paterson. He's a good guy. He's cool with it, but I just wanted to just put a little finer point on that to make it clear that no one of that stature is referred to as interim, and so we should not do that. And again, when David joked and said, "Yeah, I'm not surprised the New York Times did that," it just goes to show you how the New York Times plays games. And so anyway, enough of that. But I want to just say that. I wanted to play a clip here. So Eric Adams on this program, Governor Paterson, not long ago, and I asked him how much trouble this Trump thing was going to get him in. By the Trump thing, everybody knows what I'm talking about. The Trump administration pulled that case. Eric Adams does not have to go to trial, much less to prison. But there are many liberal and progressive New Yorkers who think that didn't pass the smell test, say nothing of the media. Eric Adams has decided, since being on this program last, to not run in the Democratic primary but to run as an independent, so he will survive this June 21 primary either way and still be standing to face whoever comes out of this. And right now the leader in that race is Andrew Cuomo, although the race is tightening. We'll get Governor Paterson's take on that in just a second, but I wanted him and you to hear what Mayor Eric Adams had to say when I asked him about this Trump dilemma.
Okay, tell me something, and let's be honest in this conversation. Is Trump derangement syndrome real? Are there those who hate the president so much that no matter what happens, burning Teslas, tearing up their degrees from institution, no matter what he says or does, people are just angry at the level not to acknowledge the fact that we have a democratic process in this country, that whoever gets the most electoral college votes is the person that's the president of the United States. And in addition to that, not only did he get the most electoral college votes, he received the most popular votes. So it's not about if the person you want wins that all of a sudden you follow democracy. No, that's not the way it is. And we don't have one unified belief on everything we do in this country. So for people to say that there was some quid pro quo when I stood up in federal court and raised my right hand and under oath stated that it wasn't, people who know you, and people who want to use this as an excuse are going to try to exploit it. There was no quid pro quo. I should have never been charged. I did nothing wrong. These was bogus charges. Some of the text messages that was revealed showed that this was alluded to, this being politically motivated. It was wrong, and it was unjust. And I spent my life fighting for criminal justice reform. When I visited inmates up in the northern part of our state, fighting for them. When I fought for women who were pregnant and handcuffed to gurneys, I fought for them. I testified in federal court under the stop and frisk regiment when I was with 100 Blacks in law enforcement. This is what I always fought for everyone in the criminal justice arena. Why won't I fight for it for myself?
So that's what Mayor Adams had to say when I asked him about the Trump factor, the Trump issue, Governor Paterson. That aside, what's your read of that, if you care to opine on it, or more broadly, I'm just getting to your opinion about how you're reading the mayor's race right now in New York City.
Well, Mayor Adams was put in a position that I had been in when I was governor, where there were all kinds of charges that came up, and the most ridiculous of the charges was that I had gone to one of the World Series games, the Yankees against the Phillies, and at the time that I went, I had not paid for the ticket. So they decided to fine me $60,000. This is something, the fine should be $2,000, $3,000, but they made it $60,000. And the reason they did that is because they were working for the person who wanted to be governor. So I know how Mayor Adams feels.
Yep.
And by the way, a well-known leader in the city, his name is John Katsimatidis, commenting on this situation at the time, said they fined him $60,000 for going to the World Series and he couldn't even see the game. We should explain that, Governor Paterson, for those who don't really get the joke. Governor Paterson is legally blind, and so I have friends like Governor Paterson and Stevie Wonder who tell their own jokes and crack me up. But that's the joke for those who didn't understand that. He's legally blind, and you mentioned John Cassimedes. I know John. He's the owner of the big talk station in New York, WABC, so we've spent some time together over these. Anyway, please continue. I want to hear your opinion about this mayor's race. Yeah. And by the way, but before I continue, it's really great to know that you have WBLA 1580 and that you're on every day and that kind of thing, because we used to have that with WBLS, WLIB, which Percy Sutton ran, and even the other black music station had some talk shows on a WWRL. Yeah. We don't have that now, and because of it, I really feel for a lot of the black elected officials in the city who have plans. They want to speak out on things, but they just don't get a chance to have a voice.
Nope.
But in terms of the mayor's race, I think that Andrew Cuomo is significantly ahead in right now. But we have this thing in New York called ranked choice voting.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, I think I could learn nuclear physics before I could figure out how ranked choice voting works. But they have like a second round and a third round. And in 2021, Mayor Adams won the election by 107,000 votes. And then they went to ranked choice voting, like who was your second choice? Who was your third choice? He won on the last ballot by 7,500 votes. Against a woman who ran a good campaign, but nobody thought that she had a chance to win. I think the reason that Mayor Adams got the independent line is that he needs time to try to put his campaign together, and he knew he didn't have enough time to do it for the primary.
Right.
So I understand why he took the independent line.
Yeah.
But the downside of it is it's very hard. Voters are not particularly radical. In other words, voters kind of go and if they're Democrat, they vote for the Democrat. If they're Republican, they vote for Republican.
Yep.
And I think this could be a little too complicated for some of the voters, but he will be on the ballot in November either way.
Yeah.
What has bothered me a little bit is I understand what Mayor Adams is saying about respecting the fact that that Donald Trump is president. But the same types of comments that Mayor Adams was condemning were the ones that were made about Barack Obama when he became president, and all kinds of accusations against him that never stuck. And I think that, and I'm going to tell him this next time I see him, he needs to be a little more sympathetic to the people who are watching this election than he has been. Because what's going on here with him is something that went on before with Barack Obama, and it was people like the current president who always wanted to get involved and have something to say where they really
No,
didn't have the right information or the intelligence to be saying it.
I take that point. It's a powerful point. Let me play devil's advocate and go to the other side. And I'll let me just set it up now, and I'll give you all the time you need when we come forward, David Paterson, Governor Paterson, to respond to it. So I hear that argument, and it's a legitimate argument, and that's why you are the former governor, bright as ever. The flip side of that, though, and it goes back to the story you told about the way they came for you when you were governor of New York over some ridiculous ticket to the game, and they fined you $60,000 for that. There are many people who believe, Eric Adams being one of them, that race played a factor in these charges brought against him, just like race played a factor when they came after you while you were the black governor, or not the black governor, the governor in your black skin of the Empire State. And here's what I mean. I simply mean to suggest this. You will never convince me that in the history of New York City, with all of the corruption in the history of New York City, you will never convince me that the first one to ever allegedly engage in wrongdoing was Eric Adams. I'm not buying it. There's no way in the history of New York City that the first one to ever be indicted for doing anything wrong as governor, as mayor, is Eric Adams. See, that's the simple argument for me. That's why race, to my mind, plays a factor. Now, you can have your own opinion of Eric Adams. I'm not mad at you if you have your opinion. I'm just telling you, you ain't going to make me believe that this Negro is the first one in the history of the city of New York to ever get caught or ever be accused, I should say, allegedly for having done X, Y, Z. That don't pass the smell test for me, just like it didn't pass the smell test. I remember that when they went after David Paterson as governor. It's ridiculous. And it didn't pass the smell test with Barack Obama. We know it was race. So Eric Adams may have a point. I digress for now. Governor Paterson, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. 2023. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
So I asked Governor David Paterson, Barack Obama, Eric Adams, was race a factor?
In this particular situation, Tavis, I think it was something that was race, but not exactly like the other situations that you described.
Okay.
First of all, there were two mayors who were run out of New York City. One was Jimmy Walker in 1934, and the other was a man named William O'Dwyer back in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think it was with Eric Adams was a different sort of subtle type of racism, which was that President Biden thought he could keep sending all these migrants to different cities, didn't send any money to help work with them, and the Democratic mayors in most of those cities, probably talked about him behind his back and probably, cursed at him when he wasn't looking.
Mm-hmm.
But Mayor Adams was the one, and I think this was really outstanding. He got up and said that he was going to find money from other sources, and at a certain point, he might not even let the migrants into New York City. And I think that in the Biden administration somewhere, it was like, who does that? You know what?
Yeah, think he is.
And I think that's what really, it was racism, but it was different. It wasn't that they made something up about him. They took something that he actually did and punished him, even though they knew good and well there were 150 other mayors that felt the same way.
Yeah. So to your point about those mayors that got run out of town, there were two governors that come to mind immediately. They got ran out of town in New York State. One being the guy that you were lieutenant governor to before you became governor, Elliot Spitzer. The other being more recent, the other more recent one, of course, Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo.
And that's the funniest thing, Tavis.
Yeah.
Is that the governor before me and the governor after me were the ones that got run out of office. I walked out the door on December 31st, 2010. A free man.
The one before him and the one, David Paterson's funny. He always has been. He cracks me up. The one before him and the one after him were in trouble. He walked out the door a free man, a free black man, I might add. I love that. When we come forward in our remaining moments with him, I do want to ask him if Andrew Cuomo can pull this off. It would be the mother of all comebacks. They ran him out of the governor's office, and he may become the mayor of New York City. As I said a few weeks ago on this program, just a few days ago, it seemed, we had four black mayors in the four largest cities in this country. Eric Adams in New York, Karen Bass in L.A., Sylvester Turner, God rest his soul, was in Houston, and Brandon, of course, in Chicago. Brandon Johnson, they're all in trouble, and we may not have any black mayors in these four largest cities a few months down the road from now. But again, I'm curious about what Governor Paterson makes of the potential comeback, this Herculean comeback by Andrew Cuomo, if he can pull this off as mayor of New York. We'll do that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer.
Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with the former governor of New York, the Empire State, David Paterson. I got 3 minutes left here. We started this hour talking about the upset of Adam Clayton Powell by Charles Rangel all those years ago in Harlem. And nobody saw that coming. And a few months ago, when Andrew Cuomo was pushed out of the governor's office, nobody saw this coming, Governor Paterson. What say you about how this will be read years from now if Andrew Cuomo does, in fact, pull off the impossible, the unthinkable, after being governor of New York, becoming the mayor of New York City?
Well, for the last, I'd say 2 years, Andrew Cuomo had his eye on running for governor again against the sitting governor, Kathy Hochul. But when the Adams situation came up and it became clear to Governor Cuomo that there was an opportunity there, I remember having lunch with him and he was saying, you know, I think I could run for mayor if Adams isn't going to be a factor, you know, because of the indictment. He said, of the other candidates, I think I could beat all of them. And I think that's what is going to happen.
Wow. And how will that comeback be read years from now, you think?
It won't be, you know, like some other comebacks that where the person was, you know, you just couldn't see how they could ever get reelected again.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of anyone that way.
Right.
But I think that he is not being considered as much the comeback kid as much as the public has continued in polls to support him even through his difficult times.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's white privilege or something, but I think that's what may, and also I will say this about him. He ran the state, you know, just in terms of organized. Yeah. He was an organized a leader as I've ever met.
Yeah. So I close on this with 45 seconds to go. Does any of Andrew Cuomo's success at the moment got you thinking about making a comeback, Governor Paterson?
No, I'm just going to sit here and watch for a while. It seems safer over here.
David Paterson, you know I love you dearly, man. And it's been too long since we've had a public conversation like this, but I always delight in your sense of humor, your insight, your intellect, and just grateful for this hour with you. Thank you, and let's do it again somewhere down the road, my friend.
Whenever you'd like to do it again, let me know.
I appreciate that. We'll call you, trust and believe. The former governor of New York, David Paterson, a delight to have had him on in this hour. 2 hours to go. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is celebrating Illinois' 7th straight balanced budget, a $55 billion plan with new taxes on tobacco, vaping, and sports betting.
Unlike the federal government, we are balancing our budget for the benefit of your families, while Trump spends wildly to benefit his family and their Doge Bro friends.
He says it helps working families more than Trump-era federal cuts. 11 people were stabbed Sunday night at the Union Gospel Mission in Salem, Oregon. Police say the victims were taken to Salem Health with various injuries. A male suspect is in custody, but no motive has been released. And Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial resumes today in New York. His lawyers continue cross-examining a former assistant under the alias Mia, who says Combs raped and abused her. A man by the name of Enrique Santos is expected to testify next. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Pan comido or a piece of cake, no matter how you say it, you save at cheapoair.com/ES. The deals are fully translated in Spanish, so all you've got to do is scroll and save with deals on up to 500 airlines worldwide. cheapoair.com/ES.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A tough day for LA's major sports teams on Sunday. The only team to get a win was UCLA's baseball team. They beat UC Irvine 8-5 in the NCAA baseball tournament. UCLA advances to the Super Regional. They're only 2 wins away from the World Series in Omaha. UCLA's women's softball team was eliminated Sunday from the World Series in Oklahoma City. They lost to Tennessee 5-4 on a walk-off single in the 9th inning.